Welcome into the 5 Sports Show, everybody. April 3rd, 2026. I'm joined by Zach Anderson here at our new podcast studio.
Yes,
so
sir.
first 5 Sports Show we're on.
Yeah.
And look, a lot of talk about baseball game tonight.
Yeah.
Starting a new 3-game series. But let's talk about the basketball team from last night.
Yeah.
You win that first game of the Crown.
Go a month without playing, too.
I know.
It's kind of wild.
Listen, I think we're going to get into it about how they won, why they won, and kind of the makeup of the team. But you said it yourself. Take a month off, you come play, especially against a hard team like Stanford.
Right.
What was the biggest takeaway you had from that game last night?
I don't know. The West Virginia defense kind of showed up at the end of that game, I felt like. I mean, it went into overtime. They kind of hold Stanford in overtime, but I'm skipping ahead a little bit there with that because I think it comes down to that play at the end of regulation. I mean, that's when the game was becoming close, and Honor Huff kind of threw up that shot, got the 3 free throws, makes all 3 of them, which is very clutch by him. He's been a good free throw shooter all year, so that was some clutch makes by him. But to make those shots and send it to overtime really put them in the driver's seat, and then they just relied on the defense. I mean, we saw it in the overtime period, and they got it done.
Yeah, I mean, that kid from Stanford, Buka Okore. I mean,
yeah, how many points did he finish with? I saw he had 30-something, they said, at the end of regulation.
I think he might have had 34.
34,
like
35,
that.
Yeah. He had a lot of points. Great game by him.
He was the freshman of the year in the ACC, and Ross Hodge talked about wanting to stop him.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen what he did against, when guys like DeBansa, Peterson, highly touted freshmen have come to face West Virginia. They've done a pretty good job walling them off. I think that's what we saw last night. Now, on the flip side, when you only shoot 2 of 22 from 3, you don't expect to win many games. But like you said on free throws, during the season they rank lowest in free throw percentage. Last night I want to say they hit 20 of 25. So
yeah, they had a good shooting at the line, but I mean Huff went like 4 for 15 from the field or something. I don't have the exact number, but he made less than a quarter of his shots, I think. So tough night for your leading scorer, but still get the job done. I mean, that's a testament to how well they played.
And we're going to play a quick shot here of just kind of Coach talking about the team. So we play a couple different shots of him talking about the game and how it went. But to start off, this is the shot that caught my attention because he's talking about the makeup of his guys. The guys that they were down at some point in that game. A team that wasn't built with seniors like Honor Huff, Harlan Obioha. These guys know their season's over. Yeah. Their basketball career is likely over if they don't win this game. So I think it just speaks to the level of character, the guys they have on this team. And Coach Hodge talked about that, and we're going to play that right now.
We talked about, man, that these guys, Honor and the rest of his teammates, they could have went to a lot of different places. They had a lot of good options. And they chose to come not only play for our university, but when you decide you're going to come play at West Virginia, you don't just play for your program and for your university. You play for an entire state. And, again, just this group's ability to stay together when things get hard and things get tough and people are probably counting you out. Like I think that embodies the state of West Virginia, and I think a lot of people have been able to identify with this group. And again, we've had some incredible highs and we've had some really tough lows, but the ability to stay together, and that's what makes that's what makes this job special. Even if you look at it tonight, just an incredible pro WVU crowd on opposite. You couldn't maybe be too much further than Morgantown, but Tony Caridi, our radio guy, he likes to say, he's like, hey, we show up, and they showed up for us. And again, you're always thankful when you have a fan base that's as loyal and as passionate as ours. When you have opportunities to reward them, you really appreciate that, and you're thankful for that. And I think that's what this group has done. We're not perfect. We have stretches during games when we're certainly not perfect, but their ability to stay together and be at their best actually when they're counted out is special, and I think that's something that can be laid at the feet of everybody in West Virginia and the future teams to point to this group.
And I think that was the most succinct statement of the entire season. Ups and downs, some bad losses, but some favorable wins, upsets and things like that. But the main theme of this team, I feel like this season is you have a bunch of seniors who know it's their last chance.
Yeah.
They're playing well together. And it seems like these are the group, Honor Huff, Harlan Obioha, these guys are smiling on the court. They're playing well. I think that's an underrated aspect of college athletics these days. Do guys care about the school they're playing for? Do guys actually have pride in what they're doing?
That's true.
They were down by 7 with less than a minute to go, or they were down by 67-60 with about 2 minutes to go. A team that might not have those same level of guys with a high character might have kind of mailed it in, but we saw Lorient, Huff take over that game. I mean, Huff basically won the game for West Virginia.
Yeah, he finished with 21 points. He definitely led the way for West Virginia. But, I want to talk about that point you made about the chemistry and the character of this team, because you think about it in any sport. You could pick any college sport right now, and a question, like you said, would be, does this team really care about the school, the university they're playing for? And you can see that about this group. And you got to think this is year 1 of Ross Hodge. He's laying that foundation at West Virginia, trying to find that group that can start something good, right? So then you have a group like Obioha, Huff, Eagle staff, a group that can truly care about this university and want to win, come back from a 7-point deficit in maybe their final game. They're like, I saw something that Honor Huff said. I'm not sure if you have this in our show today, but I saw something he said where he said, we weren't going to lose that game. That was my thought process. That's what he said. Honor Huff was like, we're not going to lose this game. He took it into his own hands, made sure they didn't lose it. And you can tell that's people that really care about the university and high character players that are going to build that foundation at West Virginia for Ross Hodge.
And when the first year, I was thinking about this on the ride in, like, if you put it into football terms, they didn't make the playoff, but they made a bowl game.
Yeah, they made a bowl game.
They're playing postseason basketball. To be one of those top teams in the Big 12 to qualify for the crown, it's not just a throwaway thing. It's not just like, they qualified for the crown or the NIT. At the end of the day, they were in the middle of the Big 12. They weren't one of the best 3 or 4 teams, but they also weren't one of the worst 3 or 4 teams. Right. They're pretty much in a good spot. 18 wins, I want to say.
19 wins now after the crown.
Exactly.
They were 19 and 14, I believe, now.
And
that's a solid season.
I mean, they were a perfect 9-9, I want to say, in Big 12 play. So, they even themselves out in that regard. My question is, you built this program with a lot of seniors, senior heavy. The entire starting lineup essentially was all seniors. The main contributors were seniors. You do have some guys, some highly anticipated freshmen coming in next year, but I think this is just the future of college athletics. There's going to be 10 or 12 more new guys on this team next year. Are we going to be able to see maybe steal a guy from a Power 4 school? We didn't see that in the offseason last year, but with this kid, I watched Miles Sadler, the recruit. He played the Chipotle National. I guess it's like a high school tournament or something for the best high schools in the country. He played really well last night, so I think that's an exciting piece for West Virginia. Now, the tournament obviously is the ultimate goal. You want to make the tournament.
Right.
But if you could look back to what Ross Hodge said last March, about a year ago, probably a year and some change ago when he took this job, he mentioned he wanted to be in the top 2 of the Big 12 in defensive efficiency. Yeah. That was met in scoring defense. They're just with Houston. He wanted to be a team that defended the 3 well and shot the 3 well. He did one of those things. The other one, unfortunately, the ball wasn't falling a lot of times.
The offense as a whole wasn't quite working the way he expected. So.
So how would you characterize his expectations versus the reality of what we've seen this season?
I mean, he accomplished the first half of that, like we talked about, the defense. I think that's what this team has relied on all year to get those 19, 18 wins that they've gotten this year. They relied on the defense to get those done, especially against BYU when they got that upset win, against Kansas when they got the upset win. Of course, the home court advantage always makes a difference in Morgantown, but talking about the defense in those games, that's what's won it. So you talked about they finished top 2 in defensive efficiency. That's what they wanted to do. The offense will come later if you can find some more talented players. And back to your point about roster turnover, I think that is just a reality of college athletics, because you look at the football team for West Virginia. They had a lot of transfers again this year, just like Rich Rod's first season 2 years ago. So you expect roster turnover to be a thing that every college team, especially in the 2 money-making sports, football and men's basketball, are going to have to deal with. So Ross Hodge, if he can find some more talented, Power 4 transfers to, maybe kick up that offensive ability a little bit and still meet the defensive needs that he wants, I have no reason why the team can't be better next year, adding Miles Sadler, Amir Jenkins, and hopefully retaining DJ Thomas as well. So
yeah, I'm excited to see the progression of. We've seen what Kellogg can do progressing in 3 years. We've seen kind of We're starting to see Rich Rodriguez building his program. Steve Saban's obviously learned a lot from head coach Randy Mazey, so he's building his program still, probably been building it for a number of years. But men's basketball, I think right now, it's a bit hard to tell where they're going because you had such a great core of guys. You wish you could have had Honor Huff and those guys for another year.
Oh, yeah.
The way that they were embraced by the state and university. So, but tonight, so that's all for basketball right now. But tonight, big baseball game at the Kendrick Family Ballpark. You'll be there for that.
I will be.
Max Yell on the bump. I believe he's 5-0 on the year. Let's just put into perspective. We just said the major money-making programs, football and basketball. We saw women's basketball host a regional.
Yeah.
I just looked at a recent projection from Baseball America, D1 Baseball, projecting West Virginia baseball could host a regional. If season ended today, they're a top 16.
I saw that too.
So what do you think in terms of overall program standing? What do you think that would do for not even just their team, but the entire university? You had one team in women's basketball host. That just raises everyone else's expectation for success.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, West Virginia baseball, in terms of college baseball programs, are definitely one of the biggest risers right now.
Yep.
Definitely, rising up the ranks in terms of credibility and talent and rankings. I mean, right now they're 13th in the nation, looking to host a regional. And I saw a projection that had them against Tennessee and Wake Forest, which would be that would be a challenging regional for sure. I mean, Wake Forest made Omaha, I think, a couple years back, maybe even been last year. I'm not exactly sure on that, but West Virginia baseball right now, they're cooking. I mean, they haven't lost a series all year. Beat Arizona State, another ranked team, to beat them at their home stadium. 2 out of 3. This UCF series is extremely important just for the Big 12 Conference alone. If we're not even talking about national projections, regionals, all that, just for the Big 12 Conference, UCF's leading the conference. They're first in conference record, 8-1, I believe. WVU is 7-2 in conference record. So this is a huge series. If you can win 2 out of 3. You pass UCF in the Big 12 standings, put you, as the sole leader in the conference. That's a huge deal, and the Big 12 is a great baseball conference. So any credibility they can get in this UCF series puts them on top of the conference, and also gives them even more ammunition to host a regional, and that would be crazy. To finish off my point here, just hosting any regionals in Morgantown on campus, I think any sport hosting something on campus is pretty cool. Get all the fans out. When the college football playoff started doing on-campus games, that's a huge deal. So I think if West Virginia baseball can host a regional, it would just elevate all the athletic programs like the women's basketball did. Same way.
And in talking about that, like you're raising the level of success, you're also raising the level of, I would say, athlete that is exposed to the university.
True.
Seeing, looking at ESPN, just clicking through the channels, wow, ESPN's, West Virginia's hosting a regional here, hosting a regional there.
Exactly.
I think that changes the standard of, oh, wow, we can get better players that want to come to West Virginia because they want to be a part of this program, not just because of the dollar sign at the end of the day.
Exactly.
I think a lot of other colleges, schools in the Big 12 struggle with the identity piece of being a part of a program. West Virginia has no problem with their identity.
Oh, they have a great identity. I mean, look at that facility they just built on top of the hill there by the baseball stadium.
So they've had their identity for a long time, and it's great for players. And we're going to shift gears now to some West Virginia football. Of course, we'll talk about them all year, but want to talk about offense. We can talk about the quarterbacks until we're blue in the face. I mean, we're going to be talking about this all year. But we heard from head coach Rich Rodriguez on Thursday talking about the improvement level and what he's seen from the defensive side. We've heard the names on the offensive side: Cam Cook, Kevin Brown, Scotty Fox. We don't really know too much about the defensive side, although that was the side of the ball, correct me if I'm wrong, if you believe that as well, that struggled the most at points last season, right? And they got exposed a lot in big games.
Certainly.
So this is one side of the ball I'm sure fans are really interested to hear how it's progressing. And Coach Rodriguez was not afraid to tell the truth about.
He spoke his mind.
Oh, yeah. About how defense might be a little bit slower to progress, but it all comes down to people's effort and understanding how to practice hard sometimes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of new guys. I like our athleticism. I think we got a little bigger in the secondary. We had some pretty good athletes, but I think we got a little longer in the secondary. Got pretty good athletes. We should have more depth if we're lucky and don't get anybody hurt. But it's still a lot of work in progress. I think we're still kind of learning how to play and the level of intensity. Today, I'm not happy with today's day. I didn't think the intensity focus was as good as it needed to be on either side of the ball.
So that is head coach Rodriguez.
Coach Rodriguez always speaks his mind. He's never afraid to say what he actually thinks. Huh?
That's right. So that's practice number 10 or number 9 this season. So look, I mean, what are you really going to gather in terms of? I mean, I guess they're wearing shorts. You can't really tell who can do what just yet. I think, and look, I don't want to say Rich Rod speaks his mind. I get that, but as a coach, practice number 10, is there an aspect of you don't want to say too much and put your foot in your mouth 2 months later where you say we're progressing really good and then you're not? So there's always a possibility where it could be a bit of a half-truth, but I think that's the game you play when you're looking at these press conferences every day and you're trying to figure out, okay, how much is this real stuff? How much is it just a runaround? With head coach Rodriguez, in my prediction, I think 95% is probably real. 5% probably run around to answer questions. But what we can talk about the defense. What group unit do you think needs to improve the fastest in order for West Virginia to have success next season?
When you asked that question, Cam, the first thing that immediately came to mind is offensive line.
Yes.
I think we can agree on that. Offensive line needs to be the group to protect either Hawkins or Fox, whoever wins the job there. Offensive line, definitely one of the worst in the nation. That's not even me just saying that. I think that was a fact if I had the stats in front of me. But the offensive line has to improve. You get a 4-star tackle that's probably going to start day one. You get some big-time transfers, transfer from Wyoming, transfer from Kansas State. These are guys that you want to make an impact right away. Rich Rod said early in the spring cycle that offensive line was an area that he pursued hard. And clearly, we'll have to see how the progression goes as spring goes on. Of course, the spring festival, they're calling it or whatever, is happening in a few weeks. It's on a Saturday, I believe. So that'll be a true test to see what kind of athletes, I guess, even though it's not going to be necessarily, mano-y-mano for what you're going to see in the season. But still, that's an opportunity to see where this team has grown. That's the group, though, the offensive line in the Big 12 that's going to need to grow the most.
For sure. And like he mentioned, no one in the media has seen the team live just yet.
They have not opened the practice up to media once yet.
So I think that gold and blue spring game is probably going to be when the fans and media see, guys like Cam Cook, Scotty Fox, Hawkins, how they're progressing. You mentioned it, you hit it right on the head. Offensive line needs to be the fastest one to improve, especially what we're hearing from Coach Rodriguez in terms of Rick Trickett helping the guys out, understanding the new system. And to talk a little bit about, we'll end it in a little bit, but on the football side, we'll talk about this continuously. We talked about expectations for basketball, where they met, how were they met. We put last season on the back burner. We've talked about that. Looking at this season, is it wins that main success, or is it overall progression of guys getting better? Like you have a lot of young guys in this team. Is it really looking at it saying we need to make a bowl game or it's a fail, or is it more complicated than that?
I don't think bowl game is necessarily a success in the current college football landscape.
Right.
It might be a hot take and you might disagree, but I don't know if bowl game is necessarily a success. You want to make the college football playoff. You want to be in the top 3 of the Big 12 conference. Or at least make the conference championship game. That has to be the first goal over just making a bowl game. But to your point, I think more competitive games is what you're looking for. Not necessarily the win total, being crazy improved. I don't think this team's going to jump from being a 3-win team to making the Big 12 championship. I don't see that happening. But, just seeing more competitive games from this team, closer games, better defense, more points, more yards, those kind of things are something where you could get some successful points out of that.
I like that. Because I was thinking about this in the last episode, was just thinking, like, what do fans expect from this team? Especially you bring in these 4-star recruits, the best offensive linemen in Pennsylvania, you bring in these highly touted transfers. It really feels like, even though year 1 was a 4-win year, fans are kind of expecting 7 to 8. I've been seeing 7 to 8. Like you said, a bowl game is not end all be all to mean success. For for a program in the American Conference or Conference USA. That
Right,
could be
that's
their goal, right?
Different expectations
You know?
for different conferences.
But if head coach Rodriguez is talking and saying, no, you can win a national championship at West Virginia, I mean, if I'm a fan, I'm listening to that saying, okay, well, we better at least double our win total next season.
Absolutely, I
The
agree.
schedule is way more favorable with the home games back to back. You're playing, I think, a no brawl this year, but you're playing a neutral site in Charlotte. So, look, man, we're going to keep talking about the Mountaineers, basketball, football, and of course, baseball tonight. Major game, 6:30 p.m. first pitch, and Zach will have the highlights on 5 Sports at 11. But all for us here on the 5 Sports Show. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below. Give us any questions you have because you never know. I read all the comments. If you comment something, it's pretty thought-provoking, we'll put it in the show and we'll discuss it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.